Staying in D.C., where President Trump says the federal government should take over. The District of Columbia says his words appear to support a bill recently introduced to end D.C. home rule.
And I think we should take over Washington, D.C., make it safe. People are getting killed, people are being hurt. You have a great police department there, but somehow they're not utilized properly. We got to take care of the homeless, but you can't have that in Washington, D.C. You know, when they come over to see me, like Macron is coming and...
Okay, there you have the president aboard Air Force One making those comments. Drew Hansen from the Business Journal here to break it all down. Drew, good to see you. This is not the first time we've heard this from President Trump. He even said he does like Mayor Muriel Bowser. They have seen common ground many times before. Obviously, she probably doesn't like to hear this coming from the president.
No, I mean, and I think any D.C. resident has to be a little bit concerned because it is an affront to home rule, which has been the way things have happened in D.C. for the last 50-plus years. Now, the mayor has, she told us at a Business Journal Power 100 newsmaker event last month that prior to Trump's return to the White House, she was planning all sorts of different scenarios, best-case scenario planning, worst-case scenario planning. She did tell us she didn't think he would go after home rule. So that remains to be seen. I mean, I feel like every day it's something new from President Trump, and you know, maybe some things that were a little bit more boisterous, you know, without a lot of backing behind it in his first term. He's following through with a lot of it this year, so it's definitely something to monitor.
And what would the feds, what would the president, what would the federal government taking over Washington, D.C. actually look like?
Yeah, you know, it could take a couple different formats. You know, there is the couple of Republicans on Capitol Hill have introduced legislation to repeal home rule, which would, you know, put Congress in greater control. You know, there was a control board for a time that oversaw the district. That's a full-scale takeover, which could happen. The president, because of the district's special status as a federal territory, federal district, there are a couple avenues that he could take. You know, he talked about crime and graffiti and homelessness. There is an apparatus where he could just take control of the Metropolitan Police Department to kind of get that work done for him. He can also call on the National Guard. The mayor does not have the power to call on the National Guard at the district.
Yeah, and to be clear, I've been a reporter here for a long time. A lot of people out on the streets of D.C. have asked themselves for the National Guard to come in because they seem to think in some neighborhoods that crime cannot get handled. Now, this has been over time. I'm not saying it's current, but there has been from the residents themselves that call. But to your point, that's not something the mayor can call. It would have to be from the feds. I
remember when the National Guard came in and it was disastrous in Southeast.
Yeah, I mean, and I think
it was completely, I mean, no, after they got there, it got worse. So I'm not suggesting that they ever do that again. But I guess my question was, you know, what about the functions of the city every day? There's people who have to get fed. There's kids who have to get to school. There's Metro. We have all these other issues, and the federal government is proposing that they take over. I'm like, come on, man. It's too nuanced of a place
and I mean, as you've seen, sorry, as you've seen as Doge, that Musk's Doge unit under Trump has gone through the federal government and worked quickly to change things, and there are a lot of mistakes. They fired people and come back and said, no, you're not fired, and then fired them again. You know, it is a little scary, you know, that they do this without a lot of specificity.
Yeah.
True, I think as you said, we've seen the president speak in hyperbole many, many times before. Yeah. It seems as though there is at least a very much open line of communication between the Wilson building and the White House, and even Capitol Hill, so hopefully there's some resolution here where they can all come to a compromise. Exactly, in the time being that would at least appease the majority here. Drew, we appreciate the latest from you, of course, and we'll keep watch as things continue to evolve.